Hey everybody, this is Ashley with Publish with Ashley. Hey Harvey, happy Harveys. Hey, how are you? Hey, this is Ashley with Publish with Ashley. I'm here live and I'm going to talk about finding and understanding profitable niches for KDP. So I'm going to make this part of, so if you're interested in making money online, you're interested in making money on uh, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, publishing low content books, then you are in the right place. Or if you want to learn about that. But what I wanted to talk about, I'm going to do a whole series of videos. It's going to be in a YouTube playlist, so you guys can easily get to them. Those who are on my Facebook group, hi, and you can find these too on my Facebook group, but it might be a little harder. But I'm going to do a YouTube playlist with I'll probably title it something like profitable niches. And so what I want to do is I want to arm you guys with tools, because everyone wants to know, give me a profitable niche. Well, there's more to it than just saying, here's a niche, you can make it profitable, or it's a low competition niche. There's more than that. So I'm going to show you niches that can be profitable, but I want to show you how to go about them. So I want to teach you the process. Okay. I want to teach you how to find or how to look, or if you see a profitable niche, how you can delve into that niche and create products that are unique and interesting in the marketplace. And then we're going to analyze why things do well, why they don't do well. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through that process. So I want to teach you this process to go over. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to try and go through this process with several different niches through this playlist, so that you can kind of see how I do this and how you should do this. All right, so here is the first niche. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Here we go. All right, so there we are. Okay, so this is my screen on Amazon. I gotta move my mic a bit because it's kind of in the way of my screen for me to see it. All right, so here's what I did. I want to show you what I did. What I did is I started off by just typing in, there's a few ways to do this, and I'm going to go about a few different ways. This one I just started with a lot of people wanted to learn about children's books. Okay, I just typed in kids activity books, and you think everyone's like, oh, that's saturated. Well, yes, if you just do a kids activity book, but we need to delve down deeper. So I kind of wanted to show you that process. So I started with kids activity books. And yes, this is probably a very saturated market, but it's also a huge market. Okay, there's a lot of people buying in this market. What we need to do is find a unique and different place where we can fit in. Hey, Albert. All right, so I'm on kids activity books, and what I started to do is I started to go down and look. And right here, this is kind of interesting. I guess this is an editorial recommendation, but what they have here is they have this person actually, I guess, earns a commission for recommending these. This is an interesting, I haven't seen before. But what I liked about it was, look, best overall, and then this might be hard for you to read, but it says best for a marine biologist in training. That's pretty specific, right? So when you're looking at activity books, you can't just say, I'm going to make an activity book about anything. I'm very successful in kids activity books, but I focus. And so I want to show you that focus process. So here, unicorn activity book, obviously, but this is probably hard to rank in right now because everything unicorn, right? But here's one for your mini astronaut. Okay, so people who like space. So I came down a little bit and I saw, yes, look, space coloring and activity book. This isn't, a sponsored one. This is actually, it's just showing up for activity book. It has a rank of 6,954. Okay, so it's doing really well in the Amazon marketplace. And I actually ran the numbers. I did a Kindle bestseller, and it sells 17 to 18 per day. So that would be, 18 times $2 in profit per day. That's mental math, 36? So about $36 a day or something like that. So I would be excited with $36 a day. It's probably doing better than that. But remember, the Kindle, the BSR changes hourly, literally hourly. So, take the numbers. You can't really guess someone's exact amount they make. But if it's 6,000, 7,000 in the store, it's doing really well. Actually, even a book doing like 55,000 in the US market store does really well. Okay, so I kind of went down and just looked at different books. And the space one stood out to me. So I wanted to do, I wanted to show you this one. This generational wealth building activity book. It is 25,000 in the store, and just talking about, it's teaching kids about wealth building and about money marketing and just about money. So that is what I would call a specialized activity book. It is a very specific, focused activity book. And I actually did a little research the other night on wealth building activity books for kids. And there's quite a few that are doing well. But that's such a small, specific topic. And you think, oh, well, I couldn't do well with a wealth building activity book for kids. But yes, you can. So you've got to kind of not just think activity book. What are you trying to teach? Or what do you want them to learn? Or is it about a place? Like, you can do activity books about visiting Paris. So when they go to Paris, they can do this activity book. Or if they're visiting, a city in the United States or London or just somewhere, you can do a very specific and focused activity book. Now, you want to pick something that's maybe a popular. If you that you'd want to pick a popular destination, or the thing that would be in there and back. Okay, so that's the kind of thing. Let's see. This one's kind of new. I saw it sponsored. It's a dot-to-dot book, so that it's kind of fun, cute with the little the guy with a grumpy face. But so that's kind of things I wanted to focus. I want to go back to the space activity book because I have a lot of pages pulled up because I wanted to show you things. Okay, so I'm going to go to this space activity book, and I want to show you why this is selling well. If I can get Amazon to go there. There we go. All right, so I wanted to show you why this is doing well. First off, look, space coloring and activity book. As a thumbnail, it's very easy to see, very clear what it's about. Even though it's really tiny, it's very obvious to see. And I want to show you the back pages. Okay, so let's look at the two images. And I've talked about this before, about making a logo and how it really makes your, sorry, this is slow because I have too many tabs open and I'm live streaming. That's why I usually open most of my stuff beforehand. If I can get this page to work. But making a logo, making it look really professional, it's just not going to work today, is it? But it's really, really tiny, but it's really pretty. I'm sorry, it's not opening up. But it's got 3 or 4 pages on there, so you can see what's inside. For those who don't use the look inside feature, that's really useful. And then look, it's still got that kind of background with stars and planets. And right here, I know it's really tiny to see, but they have their logo for their publishing brand. And I think Activity Lab is what the publisher is. So I think that's really great. Now I'm going to open the look inside feature. And I want to point out things that really can make your book stand out. Having that logo, having a nice back page can really be something. And I think we can maybe get to the back page through here. We'll see if it's going to be nice to me. Okay, yes. Okay, so look, this is a very, this book belongs to you. They always kind of say that. But look, it's got a coloring page. They've got their artwork copyright. They have all rights reserved. So it's a professional look, right? They've got, really nice, bold patterns. Look how the lines are the same. See, it's like the same thickness for that. And they have it's just really looks well and professional done. Oh, good. So now we can see the back here. But see, they've got their logo back here. See how it's got a nice picture that doesn't necessarily detract from these, but it shows examples of what's inside. And it has 80 different activities for kids. So a parent will know what they're buying. It just looks very professional. And that is what you really want to do to make your book stand out. Okay, so let me go to the next one. So I did a little bit searching again, and what I typed into Amazon, I typed in space activity book, right? We want to focus down. So the first thing I do is kind of look at the general topic, and then I find maybe a topic that interests me. In this case, the space activity book one stood out. So I actually typed in space activity book. And I know everyone's looking at this niche score and saying 25, too competitive, but that's not necessarily the case. Let's look at the ones that are selling well. So here's that one we saw already, the space and coloring activity book that's selling well. And you can see the BSR is now like 7,000. It's because I, literally clicked this a little bit later. So yes, the BSR changes all the time. But I wanted to look and see why some of these are doing well. Okay, so let's look at this one, these three right here. This one is doing well, 28,000 in the BSR. But look at it. It's got kind of a girl look. It's very easy to read. It's not very cluttered. Space activity book for kids. And it's got nice colors. And to me, I'm a mom of girls, I would say, gosh, I think this might be one that my daughter would like. And a lot of people are trying to encourage girls and females to be in space. And so kind of focusing your color scheme on a certain type of, person, gender, whatever it makes sense. In this case, even though it doesn't say for girls, I would kind of put this in the category of girls because my girls would like the purple, the teals, and the pinks. And that's fine. So you're making it still gender neutral, but a girl is going to gravitate towards this book versus this book right over here. So that's something to consider when you're making your book. See how it's not cluttered? It's easy to read. From this tiny thumbnail, you still can see that it is a space activity book. Now this one right here is doing okay. It's 156 in the store, and it's got the space really big, and it's got bright colors. Now this one next to it, I think you can read space and activity book, but it still feels a little cluttered to me. It's got maybe too many planets and things on there. It just feels a little bit more cluttered when it probably looks fine when it's big and printed, but on a thumbnail, it's just a little bit too cluttered. So you might want to consider that when you're doing your thumbnail. A lot of times what I'll do is when I make my cover, I'll like zoom out so that it looks tiny to see. And I've actually published it on Amazon. And then when I saw the thumbnail, I realized I didn't like it. So I've actually changed covers. So that's something you can definitely think of doing. Okay, so let's go down a little bit more and look at some of these. This one right here, I'm not trying to critique people, but yet again, look at how you can't really read this from a tiny thumbnail. This one's okay. It says outer space activity book, and I kind of like the colors, and it doesn't feel cluttered, but it just doesn't stand out on the page. Like if you scroll, this stands out on the page. This I still think maybe is a little cluttered, but I like the space with the colors. And you don't know, they might be advertising. But this one is okay. I think it could stand out as a thumbnail much more. Okay, let's look at some of these. Oh, this one. Okay, so I want to show you these. This one does really well. It's got the white space in the back and then a dark space so you can see it. And it's got two kind of main characters. And then it has a blocking on the bottom that looks pretty good. I like this one too because yet again, this one I love this one because I want to point this out. It's science and space, okay? It is not just a space activity book for kids. It's a science and space activity kit for books. And look at the title. Science and Space Activity Book for kids, ages 4 to 8. Learn about atoms, magnets, planets, organisms, insects, dinosaurs, satellites, molecules. That seems like a lot going on there. But they tried to combine two niches, space and science. And science does go with space, right? It's not like you're combining flowers and porcupines, which I guess sort of go together because they're floral and fauna, but it's not quite the same, right? Space and science do seem to go together. And it's fun looking. It's got like DNA strings. You can read. I think they could probably do better on this science to make that stand out. Maybe I like the colors, but on a thumbnail, it is a little hard to read. So there's, some critiquing. You just kind of look through and see what stands out. Okay, so I wanted to go over, let me pull up. I wanted to show you something else. Where'd it go? There we go. Okay, so what I did is I wanted to give you more information. I want to show you how really niching down makes a difference. Okay, so we started out, I have here in Publisher Rocket, which is great. It is a one-time payment. I don't even know if they have an affiliate program. If they do, I don't actually have it. But it's Publisher Rocket is great. I got it like a week or two after he actually came up with this because it was a great tool for actually when I was a fiction writer. It was a really great tool. And it's still a great tool for books. He's added something, which is why he calls it Publisher Rocket now. Anyway, so I have a few tabs up, and I wanted to show you how and what I do. So I started with, I want to focus on space activity. Oh, you guys have questions. Okay, space activity book. Let me answer some questions. Okay, Belgium in the house. That's so awesome. I love that people from other countries can talk. It's so cool. Let's see. In a kids activity book, are you focusing on parents as the target market since they are purchasing product? Both. Why? Parents know what kids like. Like I said, I have 4 girls. I know that my daughters would probably gravitate towards the purple, pink, and blue type colors, right? Because I have girls. I know my kids. But you've also got to appeal to a kid. So if bright colors, primary colors, parents kind of know what their kids like. And they like bright colors and bold colors. And so, yes, I kind of focus on both. You've got to make that happy medium. You've got to make it colorful and bold for a kid. But the parent knows that kids like colorful and bold. Or like I said, for my girls, I know they would probably like the space one that looks like it has the purples and the pinks because they're girls, they like purples and pinks. So it's both, right? You need to keep the parent and the child in mind when you're doing it. And is that hard? Yes. But people go to graphic design school for years to learn these skills. You don't need to go for years. You just need to look at what's out there and kind of see what's selling and then ask yourself, why is it selling? Can I see it from a thumbnail? Does it look too busy to me? Are the colors washed out? So what I do a lot of times is look at things and then ask myself questions. That's what I'm trying to teach you, the process of this, because it isn't, you can learn this. It just requires some thought and thinking and kind of putting some questioning skills, like using your brain. You can use all these tools, but if you don't activate your brain to ask yourself questions, the tools won't have any context. The tools are just a tool. It's kind of like having a hammer. You have this tool, but if you're just hammering it on, screws, that's just not going to work. You have to say, okay, why isn't this working? Oh, it's a screw. I know that's a bad analogy, but it's what I got. Okay, so let's go back to Publisher Rocket. So I've got space activity books, and it shows you the number of competitors. It's less than 1,200. It's got a decent monthly, and these are all average. These are guesses, averages. And it's got an estimated these numbers of searches. So we've got 345 and a competitive score of 41. So that's pretty good. In Publisher Rocket, 0 is like no competition, 100 is high. So 41 is pretty good. And then you can look at these different ones. You've got space activity book for kids, space activity book kids for 4 to 8. And you can see the different scores. Like this one's a pretty high competitive score, but what I kind of do is just kind of look. And then what I did is I looked down and I said, okay, what are the other things that are kind of, this gives you a few ideas. And I go, oh, solar system. I wonder if I can make a solar system activity book. So I typed in Publisher Rocket because I just wanted to show you guys this fast, but you can do this in Amazon. You don't need this tool. You can kind of see what's out there on Amazon. But I wanted to give you some numbers with all this. Look, solar system activity books for kids. It's less than 12,000. There's someone it's making like $10,000. And look, there's only 357 searches per month. But wow, somebody's making money. So sometimes a lot of these are, maybe it's a low search volume, but if you're one of the only people selling in that area, then you're going to do well. So that's why niching down is really important. So you can see some of these numbers here that there are some decent earnings. It's not a hugely competitive market. The search results, there's always, there's demand, right? This is maybe a lower demand, but it's more specific. This is a higher demand because it's less specific. But it does look like solar system book for kids 7 to 10 is pretty big, or just solar system book. Though solar system book probably includes pictures, not just activity books. But it's something to look at. So then what I did is I said, okay, well, solar system planets. Let's look at planet activity book. All right, so I've got planet activity book for kids. This has got less than 1,200. Good earnings. Look at the searches, and the competitive score is 73, which is higher, but it's got a lot of searches per month, and there's not a huge amount of competition. So this is plain activity book. I guess plain activity book isn't too bad. There you go. So sometimes you get back some interesting things. Planet Activity Center, and Planet Activity book for kids. So this is a pretty good one. 40 is the competitive score. I would like to earn $900 a month for an activity book, and there's a decent amount of searches. So focusing down is the key. It isn't just saying, I need to make an activity book for anybody and their brother, because you're just not going to get found. Okay, so now let's look at that space and science activity book. This is kind of really specific, and you think, gosh, there's just nobody looking for that. Well, that's not true. Space, give me a sec. There we go, I'm back. Okay, it's got not too many competitors. The searches per month are less than 100, and it's 53. But if you can capture all the people looking for that, because you make a quality book that stands out from all the others, you're going to do well. Here's one, Space and Science Gifts. It's a more competitive thing, but obviously it's not focused on activity books. Space and Animal Coloring Book. Okay, so maybe you make space animals, pandas in space, sloths in space, unicorns in space. I don't know, right? It gets a decent amount of searches, a decent amount of earnings, and it has a low competitive score. So see how focusing can really make a difference. I thought this one was a great one. Space and Robots Coloring Book. Space and science went together, right? But space and robots, kids love robots, like science, space, planets, robots, that's all together. And look at this. So it has not too many competitors. It makes 800 or so a month. And it's got 100 searches per month, which you're thinking, that's really low. That's not many, but the competitive score is 1. So this might be something that would be interesting. Space and Robots Coloring Book, yeah. Space and Planets for Kids. Look at this one, Space and Planets for Kids. It's got 13,000, a decent amount in competitive score. So there's lots of things you can do if you focused down. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen. That's kind of what I wanted to show you. I'll stop staring. Here we are. Sorry, got allergies. That's what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you that you can take a competitive market like children's activity books or kids' activity books, and then you focus down. So you just start looking and seeing something. Oh, I wanted to show you one more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot to show you this. Let me share my screen again. And I want to show you one more thing, because I thought this was really important, I guess, somewhat the word. Okay, here it is. Okay, so what I wanted to show you, on these space activity books, look, if I hover over here, you can see that, well, maybe you can't read it, but I'll read it to you. It has a bestsellers rank in a few topics. One of them is children's aeronautics, and space books. So what they've probably done is gone back and emailed Amazon and said, hey, put my book in this category. And I think that's really important. If you have something in a specific, like a very specific niche, I think it is important to go and email and add that category to that. That makes sense. That category definitely makes sense. Children's aeronautics and space books. That's what this is. And so I think it's really important when you have a very specific category like that to try and find a category that fits. Sometimes what I do even to get ideas is I'll click on a bestseller and see what it's in. Let's see, was this one in here? Okay, so this one is number 1 in avionics, aerospace engineering, which doesn't exactly fit, but it's not terrible. But I would go back and add in ones that are actually more appropriate. Let's see, there was another one on here that they've gone back and added in the correct category. I can't find it right now. I know when I was doing my research, but sometimes I will look on a bestseller like this space book, and then I will actually click on these different categories, the children's space and air books. So let me click on that real quick. And while it's thinking, okay, so then I'll go and see what I can see that's interesting here. Okay, this book is selling pretty well. Why, again, is it selling well? It's readable. You know exactly what it is from far away. There's a lot of things that would work. So sometimes I click on those specialty categories to see what's in there and get myself some more ideas or maybe a better way to focus myself down. Okay, so let me stop sharing. Okay, let's see. Let's see what questions I've got. Okay. Are they your go-to spot for KDP? Publisher Rocket? Yes. I use Bookbolt. I use Publisher Rocket. I use them in different ways. Publisher Rocket I like to do for picking up ads or when I do ads to try and get keywords, because they have a great export tool. But I kind of view each search, and it's a different algorithm, right? So Bookbolt will come up with different results than Publisher Rocket. So I sometimes will compare. If I'm really trying to niche down or think of something, I look at both. Now, can you do all this on Amazon? Yes, you can do all this on Amazon for free. It's just those are time-saving tools, so that it goes through and gathers that data rather than me physically doing it. But you know what? A lot of times I just like to look on Amazon because I'm a very visual person, and I can look at a book and say, wow, that catches my eye. And then I start analyzing, okay, it's selling well. It's probably selling well because I can read it as a thumbnail. The colors are good. I look at a lot of things. Sometimes I'll look and see if they've advertised on the page, because that can be a reason that they're selling, which is fine. I know everyone says, oh, but you have to advertise to do well. You don't have to, but yeah, once you start making money, advertising will help you make more money. So don't knock the people advertising, because they started as a beginner, once too. Let's see. Yes, you have to use your brain. I am sorry. That is the best way to actually do well. Hey, Mike, I'm glad you're here. But your work, you'll catch the replay. Great. Mario, yes, happy hump day. Let's see. This is live out of the world. Oh, yes, thank you. Like, subscribe. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to go through and do different niches on my Facebook group. I've asked what kind of niches you guys interested in, but I want to keep doing this kind of thing because, like I said, I want to teach you how to do this, because everyone just wants to be given a niche. But if I give you the planet solar system niche and you didn't even look at these books, how are you going to make a good book? You need to make something that looks professional, that looks worthy of somebody purchasing. And so I want to show you the process so you can see how I look at things and why I pick. And each time we do this, I'm sure you'll learn new nuggets, because I'll think of things as I go through it. Bangladesh. Hi, Abdullah from Bangladesh. That's so cool. Polina. I can never say anyone's. I can't even say my own name. Thank you. That's great advice to check out categories. I have trouble finding categories during press. Okay, the tip I have for finding categories is what I do is I will look at books that are similar to mine, or similar that I want to do, and I start looking at the categories they are in. Like this one, okay, so it says children's aeronaut, and it's okay if they are publisher books. I know a lot of times you're going to look at category, or you're going to look at stuff that is self-published, but do remember a publisher knows what they're doing with Amazon, and they kind of have a different relationship. So they might actually have some great suggestions of what categories you should be in. So here, this one is from Golden Books. That's a publisher you might be familiar with. Theirs is Children Aeronautics and Space Books and Children's Astronomy Books, right? See, they put their book in the correct categories. And I think when you're going for a specific niche, which you should if you want to sell books, because the more specific, the easier it is to just do everything. It's easier to sell. It's, just easier. They did the research and put their book in the correct book categories. And I think that's important. Okay, so that's kind of how I do it a lot of times. I will literally look at other books and see what categories, because you're right, it is hard to find sometimes the correct category. And do remember there are categories that Amazon you can't pick from, but they are, because the ones you pick when you publish your book, they are actually like the Dewey Decimal System. I don't know. It's like categories that are kind of across at least the US. But Amazon has a lot more specific focused categories that aren't necessarily, I would say, bookstore approved categories. So I find those categories by looking at other books, and then I go to KDP and you do contact them. You put in the ASIN of the book and you say, please put it in this category. And you have to give them the chain. You have to say, children's books, nonfiction, astronaut, that sort of thing. And you can do that. Okay. You got my ad, or Dina, you got my ads course. It's on your to-do list. Good. Ads are great. They take time and experimentation. That's the big thing I always want to say about ads. I have not spent time on ads this month at all. And I can tell my KDP numbers last month, and I didn't spend time on ads last month. And so my numbers last month weren't as good as they should be, because I should have been doing what I know is good, to do ads and spend the time. But that's okay. I've had other things going on. I found a great niche beverage category, and I was really remade. Good. That's awesome. See, like, you've got to come and just be careful on the niche beverage that it's not a trademark type thing. Just be careful on copyright, trademark, that sort of thing. Okay, Frank. I see the categories exist for other books, but can't locate them. Yeah, when picking through the list. Yeah, so there's categories you can't see because they're Amazon specific categories, and you have to go back and email KDP and add your book to those. Do you have any paid course? I have a paid advertising course and a paid course for beginners. So it's a lot of the beginner stuff you can learn on YouTube for free, but sometimes it's hard to go through that whole process on YouTube because the videos are scattered all over the place. So I do have that. It's really cheap. It's like $29 or something like that. And my ads course is like $49, and it's on my website, which you can get in the show notes. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so any more questions? I really hope this was helpful. Like I said, I'm going to continue. If you guys like this, and I think you guys will, because I'm going to pull up like those categories and tell you, show you all the numbers on all the paid stuff as far as Kindle Direct and Book Bowl, and I'll pull up different ones. In this case, I just thought KDP Publisher Rocket, sorry, it was what I was looking for. And sometimes Book Bowl gives me what I'm looking for, so I just can switch. But you guys can get the benefit of that as I go through these categories. You don't have to use the tools, like I said. I'm not necessarily promoting any of them. I do have, if you want to get Book Bowl, it's 20% off. Ashley 20. It's in the show notes. But it's just something to save you time. But like I said, a lot of times I start visually on Amazon because I'm a visual person. And that's the way I start. And then the tools help me just speed up my process, maybe focusing down or giving me some other ideas. But sometimes I just wander on Amazon and click buttons and see what I can find. You had a question about yesterday's video. One about leveraging KDP content using the one about leveraging KDP content you create using other revenue streams or in other revenue streams. Yes. What is your question? Let me know, Frank. What program or site do you use to assemble books with lots of moving parts? Personally, I love PowerPoint, and I know there's the PowerPoint haters in the world, but there's the PowerPoint lovers too. I like it because, it's got a lot of features. You can use the artistic effects. It's really easy to make blocks. I like the fact that it has all the rulers, and I can make all my sizes. And I love Canva, but one of the things I dislike about Canva is that I have to upload things. Whereas if I already have stuff on my computer, I can just use those I just go to the file I have them in from PowerPoint and drop them in. And so I don't have to spend quite as much time uploading, waiting for it to upload and do that. So that's another thing. It's a time saver for me because it's already on my computer. I don't have to wait for it to upload. Sometimes I'll gather stuff together into one folder on PowerPoint, drop it in, and then I can do it really fast. But I really like PowerPoint because it is simple to use. I know people think there's a lot of buttons, but you really don't need to understand that many buttons to make it work. Is AMS really important for beginners? No. I would say for AMS ads, you need to figure out how to create a great book and create a book that sells organically first. Why? Because you need to learn the skills and the design skills and the focusing down on and making a good quality book that will sell on its own. And then you're ready for ads, right? If you keep making books that don't sell, there's something you're missing. And I know that's hard. That's hard because you're like, what am I missing? I don't know what I'm doing. So that's why I say, yes, you have to use your brain and start saying, okay, am I focusing down? Am I niching down? Am I looking beyond just a big category? Does mine look good as a thumbnail compared to everything? That sort of thing. Sometimes when I make something, I think it looks okay, but then the colors don't look right, and I can't figure out what's wrong with it. And so sometimes I will publish that book, and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, I'll go back and be like, I know what the cover should look like now, and I'll go and fix that cover. So, sometimes it just kind of takes like your brain not thinking about it to figure out what's wrong. 3 cheers for PowerPoint. Yes. I'm glad this was helpful. Let's see what else. So, okay, Frank says, if you've created an interior and you've already published it in a book, should you consider modifying it to sell somewhere else? I always do modify mine slightly just because a lot of times how I've set it up in KDP doesn't necessarily make sense for Etsy. If it was going to be as a download for Etsy, because I do modify it a little. But no, you don't have to worry about it too much. But some pages don't necessarily make sense. You don't necessarily need 10 different note pages or when you're publishing on KDP, it's actually, they take the rights to do the printed copy, so the book portion. A printable is a different media. It's kind of like an ebook is a different from it's a different product type, right? So yes, you can change. I would change it up a little because it just makes sense a little bit differently on a different product, but I don't change it too much. Sometimes I'll add color to making, I'll do like the color cover. I do some different things in there. I add pops of color to change it up because someone might want to print it with a bit of pops of color. I have on that playlist, I have more coming out. I have, I think, 3 or 4 different things talking about my reuse it in May. So if you look on YouTube, I have a reuse it in May or like KDP reuse in May, something like that playlist. And I have a few more coming out. I have one specifically I did about Etsy and showing you different things on Etsy. So that should be coming in the next few days. So watch for those. Do you go right from PowerPoint to PDF or no, I actually go right from PowerPoint to a PDF. So I don't assemble it in Bookbolt or anything. That's the great thing about PowerPoint. You can just export it as a PDF. There is some things you need to change. I'll try and find this, but you need to be able to change some settings in PowerPoint to make everything the 330, so it actually exports as 330 or better DPI. And I don't, it's kind of technical and I don't know how to, like, there's a few things you have to do, but one of them is you have to go into the settings, and there's a few YouTube videos out there that all I did was just follow the settings. It was like, go into here in your files and click this and click this and click that, and I just followed it. But I'll try and find those and put that in my Facebook group so that, or yeah, I'll try and find that YouTube video or some of those, because that helps it look better when export. The interior, it's not a big deal usually because that's lines and stuff, but the covers you do need to do that for. That is kind of something you need to do. Let's see. Do you have a team of people who edit or critique or help you? Nope, it's just me. Are coloring books at 6x9 a good size? Probably maybe for adults. If you're doing, I would think like a career specific coloring book would be okay for adults, like something they could, you know, work on during lunch that they could throw into their bag. But for a kid, 6x9 is way too small. Kids like big 8.5x11 books. Do you use the same interior for different low content book? It depends. A coloring book? No. Activity book? No. A blank line journal? Yes. A log book? Yes. But sometimes I'll change up a log book. Like I have a few log books for like wedding guest books, and I have different little graphics. So the log part, the lines are the same, but I'll just change up the graphics a little bit. Like instead of, flowers or bunnies or whatever the theme of the book is, I'll sometimes change up the interior, that sort of thing. My problem with PowerPoint is the image tends to pixelate when you paste them from Illustrator. You can't paste them. You have to save them as a JPEG or a PNG, and then you have to insert them. You can't paste them. Does that make sense? You can't copy paste. You have to insert. That help. Like I don't mean the save as part. I mean like it's back in the settings. And I don't, I don't know how to do that off the top of my head. I'd have to find the YouTube video I used, but I bet you could something like search on Google how to make PowerPoint export as a PDF at 300 DPI. I imagine that would actually make it come up. But yes, you have to insert. You can't paste. There's no copying and pasting in PowerPoint. You have to insert versus copy and paste. I know it's a weird quirk, but there you are. I hope that was helpful. Does that help? All right. I do have to go because I have to take my daughter to go get running shoes. She needs new running shoes, but I'm so happy you guys were all here, and thank you for coming. Let me know in the comments any other niches you want me to research for, like this, where I go in depth and I give you numbers and I kind of show you my process of focusing down, because I really want that to be helpful for you. Do you have any scripts or blueprints for targeting private clients like realtors? No. I am still learning that process. Great. I'm so glad you like my videos. Thank you guys. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel or join my Facebook group or wherever you guys are watching. So happy to have you here. Gotta go. I will talk to you all next time. Okay. This is going to be a playlist. There's going to be several ones on this, how to niche down. So I think I'm going to call it profitable niches, but that's it. Okay. I gotta go. Thanks. Bye.